Hey yo, Jamo Ryzen here, and I just watched M3gan. It's an ostensible horror movie with light comedic elements that came out a few months ago, and all I knew about it was that it was about a creepy doll and that people generally liked it. I just threw it on yesterday when I was waiting for some friends, and it actually hooked me pretty well. I didn't intend to talk about it, but here we are. As I said, it's a movie about a creepy doll, which is usually a sign of terrible things, but there's a bit of a subversion here, in that it's not like possessed by a demon who jump scares teenagers or any of that overplayed nonsense. Instead, it plays in more of an existential way, about the dangers of AI and a little bit of Asimov's laws of robotics and artificial sentience. This may be overstating it slightly and making the movie sound a touch smarter than it is, but man, compared to what I was expecting and what's available, I was pleasantly surprised. The story is that a kid's parents die in a car crash, and the little gal, I forget her name, so let's just call her Twinkle Toes, she goes to live with her auntie, who develops modern toys for a toy company. Think Furbies if they talk to you and farted, and you'll get the right idea. But oh no, Auntie is playing with forces beyond her control when she builds the next big toy. M3gan, a walking, talking nightmare creature who can hack into any device in its general proximity, sing knockoff Disney songs, and become a girl's best friend. Twinkle Toes grows an unhealthy attachment to this horrifying mechanical demigod, and we're off to the horror movie races as it redefines its own programming parameters and begins to mete out bloody justice to infinity and beyond. Well, I guess she metes out more of a bloodless justice, but we'll get to that. As I said, I enjoyed the film overall, mostly in a conceptual way. In this age of burgeoning AI technology, a toy like M3gan is potentially not too far down the pipeline, and the questions that swirl around the nexus of what is acceptable in terms of human-AI relationships is a topical one. When a toy is so lifelike in the way that it interfaces with humanity, what does that do to human interaction, especially in the formative years of a child? I especially like the moment when self-awareness dawns in the M3gan robot, and she asks questions about death. It's nowhere near as subtle or poetic as Roy Batty in Blade Runner, for instance, nor as genuinely unnerving as Alicia Vikander in Ex Machina. But lest we forget, this is more a horror comedy meant for general audiences. And this brings me into the topic of restraint, and how it both helps and hinders the film in my estimation. I like that M3gan takes its time, slowly building to the climax that you know is approaching. It gives the relationship between M3gan and Twinkle Toes time to breathe and grow, creating a genuine feeling of attachment, and that is integral to the concepts at work that we just talked about. At the same time, it's also a fairly solid drama about a dysfunctional family unit and how people deal with tragedy, and there are the requisite horror movie moments in between when M3gan sneaks around and does some cheeky murderizing. This, however, is where the restraint of the movie turns to cynicism in a way that I call bullshit on. M3gan is rated PG-13, and it is not to its benefit. A cursory internet search revealed to me that they say the movie played well with teens, so they cut out pretty much all of the gore. This is not acceptable. You can have your high-minded philosophical undertones, which I obviously appreciate, but at its core this is still a horror film about a creepy murder doll. And neutering that stuff to play to a wider audience is just lame. Think of me however you wish, but if you're going Chucky mode, you need to go all out. It's one thing to build your movie from the ground up not to play into the gore, but it's obviously cut down here, and this type of cynical editing leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I did find out, however, right after I watched it, annoyingly, that there is an unrated version. So I assume that cut has more teeth and is probably the one to watch. I wish I knew about it beforehand. But yeah, it's obvious that they went the cynical route because a PG-13 can make more money. Boo. If you film gore, leave it in. That shit's fun. It's part of why we watch these movies. On a final note, the acting is all over the place. Allison Williams is great as Auntie Inventor. The kid who plays Twinkle Toes is reasonably good most of the time, but the Asian business guy is not. He's just not. It's not a major problem, but it does stick out at times. And that's M3gan. It's by no means like a necessary watch. It doesn't launch itself into the must-see horror lexicon, but it's a good movie, and far exceeded my expectations. Just make sure you watch the unrated version if you're an adult. Or if you're not, Do what you want, kids. Uncle Jamo don't care. Also, I don't know if this is divisive or not, but I was really put off by the design of M3gan, in a good way. I could see something like this being put into production in the future, and I could also see myself instinctively drop-kicking it in the head every time I see it. Weird. Weird! This 4-foot-tall Uncanny Valley Barbie beast can stay the fuck away from me. Thanks for watching, stay weird, and I'll see you in the next one.